feel your fire, baby, let me dance to your love. I wanna feel your fire burn, rising from the flames. Baptize on me to burn again. Let me dance in the rhythm of your flame. If I burn, let me die to burn again. If I burn, let me die to burn again.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Get Lit. And today I'm running solo. My dear co-host Rebecca Hahn cannot be with us today, so I've got a show planned for you that's on the topic of multiple dimension realities. And I just want to acknowledge once again, I am having this great privilege of being present with you and having this exchange because we have this dynamic platform of CCN, Conscious Consumer Network.tv. And as many of you have probably seen, mostly through Facebook and some of my personal emails, is that if you are enjoying the programs on this platform, which is offering alternative news, these are really the truth seekers that are bringing the information to you. Please go to the ethymarket.com and look at the options for pledging. It's also an amazing offering that goes with your pledge is that now I think we're way over 250 archive shows since CCN launched January 1st, 2015. And you can download each of our shows in high definition. And you can either do a single download for €5, which is approximately, I think I came out with 1122 American money, $11.22, good numbers. And if you pledge, you will have access to all of the shows, all the high definition shows. So please check that out. And also, if you go to the Get Lit Show Facebook page, you will see all kinds of links that'll take you directly to that site. So thank you so much for supporting us. And thank you to all the pledgers that have supported us thus far. This is an important platform. I was playing around the other day creating commercials, and it will be put up. It's one of my latest ideas. And basically, it's kind of like where the world is right now with so much being disclosed. It's like, don't you ever ask yourself, like, where am I going to get the real information? You know, how am I going to know what to believe in, what's true? Well, ultimately, you have to go back within yourself to understand what's true. But I can guarantee you that the programmers on this platform are really, they're working day and night, 24/7, looking for the pieces of our history that have been manipulated and misconstrued and picking out the pieces of truth and basically putting our history back together again, really learning who we are, where we came from. And I think one of the most prominent pieces of news that is being shared, especially through Transpicuous News with Dee and the Roundtable, Lisa Harrison and Dee as well, and then they have special guests. What they're really showing us is that right now, a lot of the intention of the wars and the devastation that's happening in many of our countries around the planet right now it's the storehouses of our genuine history the museums, the places of antiquity, the temples. And unfortunately, the powers that were are very frightened that we're going to find out who we are, how powerful we are, how we got into the situation that we're in right now. So this is important truth-telling. However, I do want to remind us, and I believe I shared this last week, I want to remind us that we are divine spiritual beings, and everything who we ever have been, everything we are ever to become, all of who we are right now is inside us. The real seed of our origins is deeply rooted in this vessel right here. And although these very valuable scriptures and books and petroglyphs are being removed, in the end, we have the whole story accessible to us. And this is the world that I'm going to speak to about today. The theme of this show is about multiple dimension realities. Sometimes I refer to it as multiple dimensionality. And multiple dimensional realms indicates that there are subtle realities that exist around us infinitely. We're all data of our origins is not only stored, but it's accessible. Now, we have heard bits and pieces about our origins as spiritual divine beings. There were times when we had exceptional intelligence, exceptional brilliance, all coming from internal creation. And as a result of our gratefulness and our reverence for where all came from and then would emerge into our external realities, the sciences, the philosophies, the writing down of these scriptures, that's when they arrived. They arrived after the fact, and we're the fact. So I have to say, and I hope you can share this this resonance with me, is that I have to chuckle when this kind of deliberate destruction is happening in our external world, happening in what I call the matrix, because in essence, we cannot be destroyed. And I think at our root, we all really know this, is that the essence of who we are, our individuated consciousness, our soul presence that is joined with this amazing spark of life gifted to us from the mother and creator, is absolutely invincible, untouchable. Therefore, as we nurture our internal creation, we again are reviving and remembering our origins. We have it within our genetic code to remember where we came from and all the lifetimes that we have experienced and all the lifetimes we are experiencing right now. So for those of us who are delving deeper and deeper into that quietude within, into what I call source uninterrupted, invite that knowledge and data to be present in your reality. Nurture and cultivate that. And so on that note, I wrote an article, several days ago, and it was titled Interdimensional Outreach. And I'm going to read this article to you. I may or may not pause between to elaborate more. I wrote this on May 17th, and today is the 21st. And what I'm about to share with you, I want to invoke in this moment, okay? So, and with this resonant tone, I hold the intention that all the energetics of my benevolent families be present here with me now as I share this resonant message. Title of this piece is Interdimensional Outreach. This writing is in response to a mutual cooperation with all dimensional realities of benevolence. As I had my morning sit and session with the counsel of my own divine beingness, a communication unfolded. This communication is what I share here today. I often begin my morning sits announcing to the interdimensional planes that I seek to experience their presence. I call in my families and all relations of benevolence to allow myself the experience of their energetic attendance. Typically within minutes, I begin to sense the energetics, and then I acknowledge and express my gratefulness for being heard and my request fulfilled. This morning, as I entered this time of communication, I was reminded that we are in cooperation with other dimensional existences. Once I acknowledged this, I was prompted to share what I know and what I may contribute as an earthling. Thus, the conversation opened up. It was important for me to remember that no one or other existence is going to swoop down and rescue anything. However, it was as important to be reminded that we have to do our part. So I spoke aloud with the energetics that showed up, and I asked for guidance and direction for our visit. And I'm going to step out of that article for a moment. That's exactly what I'm doing now. As I experience the resonant energies within my body, within this physical intelligence, I have invited the energetics of my benevolent families that reside within my internal creation to be here now and assist in the upliftment and the remembering and understandings of multiple dimension realities. I return to the article. I was reminded of a message I received quite some time ago. That message was that I was being monitored from a nearby ship and that my every word, thought, and deed was precious to them. But more significantly, when I spoke aloud, it was the most prominent reception on their end. It was explained to me that there was a device that received my resonant vibrations via my voice. Essentially, I was encouraged to speak out loud all my thoughts, requests, and responses. That is how this session unfolded today. When I settled and calibrated to the presence of my benevolent family, I approached the topic of what and how can we facilitate the necessary activity here upon Earth to gain more tangible assistance from them. I was reminded that cooperation was a necessary task at hand and that we as Earthlings must meet them halfway. Then I searched within my own energetic fabric to understand how I could provide my halfway contribution. The conversation opened up, and I started my understanding of how I could assist. It became clear, and once again, I remembered that I, as an earthling, have the ability and perception to speak as an earthling. Because I have engaged upon this planet and with humanity as an earthling, I have the experience and understanding of what the issues of concern may be. In recognition of this position, I also noted that my families of benevolence could not necessarily do this. They were not living in this world and needed my contribution of understanding so they could be of assistance. They are very sensitive to the request for help and also embrace the desire to be of help. However, as many of us know, they cannot breach the universal law of free will and just come sweeping in with all their repair mechanisms. Not only do they have to be invited, but they have to work cooperatively with us. This ignited me sharing what I knew of our situation and offering direction on how we may go about this. I found that I had to recognize the energetic mapping of the obstacles we are experiencing here in order to facilitate the families of benevolence's most active and available tools. They seem to be able to identify energetic signatures and work from that approach. All right, I paused from the article for a moment. Basically, in this communication, when I am in that resonance of exchange with what I embrace as these other multiple dimension realities, for a long time, and I think many of us do this, we use our perspective and our perception on what those other realities are about. And when we engage and we know we're having a conversation telepathically, again, we as humans, as earthlings, we apply our perception and perspective to what's occurring. And so what was brought to my attention is that my very earthling perspective was actually hindering a full-out communication. So I went to the place where, we have a growing awareness in the world right now. We know we're not the only ones in the universe. I think that's become a pretty accepted understanding. We know. And alongside the matrix, unfortunately, not only do we know there's other life on other planets or stars or dimensional planes, but they've created the ones that in sci-fi we're supposed to be afraid of. They're scary looking and they're mean and what have you, and all of that may be true. However, we haven't been cultivated or nurtured in the beings that are of benevolence. And I'm not speaking of the beings that have been represented in our misguided religions or our distorted mythologies. I'm not talking about beings that are astral and are harvesting off of us, sending our light out into all these various entities and realms. No. I'm talking about the families within us, those who are uniquely part of our origins, those who exist as earthlings and those who exist in other dimensional realms. So in this conversation, what I was being shown is that from an earthly perspective, they're not just all of a sudden going to zoom down in front of us and appear like, Star Trek. Now, that may occur, and a lot of our peoples have been like waiting for this zoom them down, Scotty, or we're waiting for them to appear from an earthly perspective. And basically the communication that I'm sharing with you today is that, number one, they can't breach the law of free will. All right. Number two, they actually do exist in a different density. Our density on the planet isn't necessarily an enhanced environment for them to have form within. And number three, our divine communication and our most sacred and protected communication is actually telepathically, energetically. So as I continue to read the article, it's with this understanding that I had to put aside how I was calling out, like, come on, you guys. I mean, how many times have you done this? Like, come on, you guys, you got to help. Like, I know you got advanced technology and can't you just boom, 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 do this, do that. And I heard, well, that's a great earthly imagination, and bless us for having imagination, because it's an absolutely necessary tool. But when I went to meet them, the conversation was energetic, and I shall proceed with the article. Okay, so I had said not only do they have to be invited, but they have to work cooperatively with us. This ignited me sharing what I knew of our situation and offering direction on how we may go about this. I found that I had to recognize the energetic mapping of the obstacles we are experiencing here in order to facilitate the families of benevolence's most active and available tools. They seem to be able to identify energetic signatures and work from that approach. I started with recognizing the need to sort out and identify the issues upon the planet, meant a rather elaborate unfolding of layers. This called upon my own tools of psychological and spiritual considerations that had been a direct and personal part of my own process. I knew I needed to isolate these particularities in order to facilitate how they may serve. I started with the recognition of the obvious. As I started to impart the areas of corruption and concern, I noted that each energetic component was a circle, albeit a loop. Later, I was to identify how we may be relieved of the loop. For now, I will begin to name the areas that came to heart mine. These areas concerned were each of the earth kingdoms, such as plants, trees, minerals, animals, devas, fairies, and plant spirits. Then I named the chemtrails and all toxins. Each time I named a layer, I said, this is a concentric circle, because I was seeing each layer as not connected, but as an isolated circle vulnerable to control. The individual and separative circles were representing how the powers that were created a divisive energy trap. Then I followed each announced circle with a sound, sort of like a pop, to emphasize that it was a distinct, recognized, and consolidated issue. So, okay, stepping out of the article for a moment. So here I was, and I thought, okay, they're looking for an energetic understanding of what it is we need help with on the planet. And so as I sat and allowed my higher self and my intuition to come through, I realized, number one, oh my gosh, we have such a multitude of layers. It's thick because the plan was so brilliant. So we have a multitude of layers that are all compact, tethered, entangled. And I thought of my own personal process this lifetime. And that's why I said I use the tools of psychological and spiritual understanding. I realized how I was so multi-layered with confusion and untruths, yet there was this flame inside of me that just kept saying, there's something more to life. There's something more to this. There's a bigger truth. I want to know it, and I'm going to find it. Okay? So I had to sit back and reflect for a moment as an earthling, the multitude of convoluted layers. And then I realized, oh, well, if I looked at the mess of layers energetically, it was just chaos. It was chaos. It was just muck. Okay. And I thought, oh, great. So then I'm putting this muck telepathic image out to my families of benevolence and saying, help, right? And they're looking at this muck. Now, I'm playing two roles here, right? Okay, so I'm playing, here I am, the earthling, and then I energetically put myself in their position and I go, well, I'll be darned. Here I am, an earthling, and I'm thinking, well, if I give them the image of this muck, surely they'll know what to do. Well, that's a great presumption. And that's when I stopped and I went, okay, they're not sitting there looking at this muck and thinking like a human. They're not going, oh, here's muck, and oh yeah, that's that control. That's mainstream media. They're not telling the truth. That's propaganda, right? They're not isolating these aspects. When I sat back, I understood that energetically, they can sense that it's very far from what we might call unity consciousness, okay? They can sense that there's a separative, divisive components that aren't intercommuning as a one organism. They can sense the separateness, okay? But they don't have the earthling understanding of why that even existed, and they don't even understand why it's happening, because they know we have free will and choice. So they don't understand this huge picture that we are all unraveling here upon the planet. And that was a very enlightening moment for me, because I'm genuinely, as an earthling, going, my goodness, can't you help us? I mean, why haven't you come in and clean the chemtrails from the sky? I mean, it's like, I'm sitting here thinking I'm, talking to another human that totally gets it. Big not. So I started to explore what the resonant energetic signatures were when I conveyed the imagery of something like, oh my gosh, the world is amok, okay? And so I asked myself, how can I sort this out so that there is a clear understanding of the energetic situation, and then work from that core, work from that center in my communications with them. Okay. I hope you're still with me. I am intentionally taking this as slowly as possible because there's resonant energies happening here right now. And benevolent families are present within each of the heart and souls of all of us. And we're kind of in a conference together. I did start to call these conference calls. We're in a conference together. We're in a telepathic conference call. And we're wanting to address and explore the most dynamic understanding of multiple dimension realities. We know that our soul, our spirit, is something that resides within. We also know that our soul spirit, although it's in this very precious physical suit of intelligence, our soul spirit is not this body. We all know that. We've seen these earth suits come and go, but there's an essence of our consciousness and knowing that persists. And as we go deeper and deeper into the understanding of ourselves as spiritual beings, we recognize it's energetic, it's resonant, it has sounds, has vibration, has frequencies. And we are beginning to embrace more fully the value and the understanding of sound healing, kinetics, the subtle realities. And in science, this, you could say that this is the science of the soul. Now, obviously, the powers that don't be have quite an advanced understanding of soul. Even though it's a soul is essence, and soul is subtle, and soul is invisible, they seem to have quite an intellectual capacity to know how the encasements of these souls, the astrals of these souls, function. And they have that capacity to such an extent, they've been able to influence the direction of our souls. Now, that's a very complicated art. However, if that art consciousness is already present upon the planet, and we have access to all data and knowledge, we have access and data to that knowledge. And the difference, I would say, is earthlings are really aligned with divine universal law of no harm, beauty, peace, joy, generosity. That's our organic nature. Our origins, we are gentle, loving people. All right? So if we open our brilliant selves to that data and we apply our intentions, that's an incredible empowerment. That's an incredible remembering. That certainly suits us up within and without, to have that great power and strength we all know about, that would, in fact, reverse the energies upon this planet and reclaim the home of our origins. So in this moment, as the benevolent energies are listening and they're here with us, these words are being empowered all over the planet. So, the paragraph where I left off, I was stating that when I started to identify, I'm not back reading the article yet, but when I began to understand, I needed to recognize the material issues upon the planet, the problems, and identify the energetic signatures that they were creating. That's what I had to communicate. And the sound that I was saying is that I started to see concentric circles because I saw the separatistness, the divisiveness of the corruption. It all has its categories. We all know them, the medical industry, education, government, all right, concentric, all separated and divisive. I began to facilitate. I said, okay, here you go, guys. As soon as I would identify a circle, say, okay, government, I would go, either I make a sound like that or psh, doo. Health, healthcare, medical industry. Psh, doo. So you're using a resonant vibration to say this is a sealed circle. Okay? Military operation. Doo. Psh. As I sounded, the resonant imagery was concise, it was clear, and it was communicated. Okay? And the reception was, they could now identify, oh, okay, all that mess goes in that circle. I was breaking it down. And with it, my energetic imprint was attached, my communication. In essence, I sometimes think of myself as a galactic ambassador. I was basically stating these are the concerns of this nation and this is how we identify them, and this is where we need some interaction and assistance, please. All right, so I'll return to the article. I proceeded with all weapons being disarmed, pollution cleared, people fed and watered, shelters provided, each of the earth elements cleansed, fire, water, air, earth, ethers, elimination of the divisiveness, separateness among the people, removal of attachments that were hindering people from being free, exploring, and using their imaginations. Freedom of speech returned. Available health care. For now, you get the gist of my list. Once these circles of concern were identified, I saw that they needed to eventually interact. become connected. I ask that we use the model of crystal rainbow bridges, connecting one circle to the next. So in the result, the conglomeration of circles were now evolving into a spiral. So stepping out of the article, the visualization was there are all these concentric circles, and I knew that a creative solution energetically was, how do we heal? What's the antidote to the separateness? And so I saw the concentric circles all on top of each other. And then as one circle on the bottom was just doing its loop, all right? And the loop is one of the manipulated, controlled, energetic formats. The loop would reach up as a spiral, go into the next one, and now it was like a slinky toy. All the spirals were connected. All right, so back to the reading. Once this visual was shared, I aligned it with our Kundalini. Now all the circles were on top of one another, transformed into a continuous spiral, the Kundalini. All the while, remember, I am offering audio and inner telepathic visuals to the Council of Benevolent Families in my presence. I am clarifying the issues of concern and offering a model for them to follow energetically. In understanding, they will come to meet with their benevolent tools. During the course of this inter-exchange, I felt very strongly that beginning to clearly set goals and facilitate direction on behalf of humanity was, in our understanding, setting intention into the ethers. I was prompted in this instance to give a more concise communication to our energetic families of benevolence. I was exercising my co-creative abilities through the sense of my multidimensional and sensorial presence. This presentation is no different than us making declarations of our sovereignty. It is essentially the same practice, only I am developing the sphere of outreach and intention. I am extending the focus of where I want the ripples of consciousness to go. In a sense, I am presenting a plan of action to our multidimensional families from an earthling's perspective. My intention and heartfelt aim is to clearly communicate that I want to have cooperation and assistance for our worldly matters. I felt the call to address more response, ability, and action in stating what we need. Note, I continue to use the word benevolence. This is my way of keeping the outreach safe and emphatically clear that I am only speaking to those nations, families that genuinely and heartfully care about us and the mother. This intention emphasizes that the support and collaboration can only exist with purity of intent and purpose of our collective human desire for freedom, peace, and love for all of us. In this process, I am continually checking my inner resonance and heart-mind integrity. Each time I ask a question or dialogue about a subject, I am watching very carefully that my resonance is coming forth from my heart. During the exchange, I intermittently reaffirm that I am source, uninterrupted. And I am in divine alignment with the 6 heart virtues of appreciation, forgiveness, compassion, humility, understanding, and courage. I proceed. After I identify each of the circles, layers of what needs attention, I ask that a counsel be applied to that circle. Basically, I am facilitating the breakdown of all the components, fragments upon this planet that need full attention and assistance. I am sorting out the problem areas and identifying them energetically, so the energetic signature can be received by them telepathically and through resonant expression. This has always been my understanding and means of communication with other families of benevolence. So, back away from the article for a moment. As I recognized that I had identified a concentric circle, what I asked for is energetically, I shared with them that from an earthly perspective, I would like to have a council that is dedicated to that one concentric circle. So basically what I'm doing is I'm facilitating the breakdown of the issues and sorting out the energetic individuated components so that, and then asking that energetically, I'm sensing that they can create a circle. I don't know if it's in the form that we would think, you know, a council of 12 beings, for instance, but I'm basically calling upon the energetics within these families that have an affinity, have some related cosmic understanding of when they observe the energetic of divisiveness and separateness, although the content and topic an earthling might identify as government, I'm asking that their council already have an affinity to recognizing energetic imprint picture, knowing that we're seeking a cohesiveness, a vibration of benevolence, that they're, in my mind, assigned to that. I'm getting the information that energetically breaking it down and giving them a specific facilitation is, in my sense and experience, is how I am cooperating with them, how I am meeting with them halfway. I'm not making any assumptions that they're going to take it to a drafting table and draw out a map. I don't know that information. I'm not making the presumption that they're going to deal with this in an earthly material way. I'm trusting that energetically, telepathically, they sense my sincere proposal, and energetically, they come back to my heart mind space and they understand the energetic of peace, love, cooperation. So that's what I'm offering to them. I hope you're all still with me. Maybe I'll take another smoke break here. And I want to say that it's an honor to be sharing this information. To me, to be able to even feel the opening to share this information at this time is an indicator. It's a barometer that indeed our consciousness is expanding. And it is so significant to begin to understand the science of multiple dimension realities. Okay. All right, I continue. The next aspect I heard a call to address is not only the spiraling of all circles with connected, oh, wait a second, I may have read this, hold on. Well, apparently I'm supposed to read this again. Okay. The next aspect I heard a call to address is not only the spiraling of all circles with connected crystal rainbow bridges, but a deeper symbology made itself known. I shared this with my benevolence. I said this image seems to resonate connectivity when I do this kind of inner reflection. I offered the telepathic visual of the flower of life and showed it in motion in my heart area. I demonstrated how there is an electrical movement that flows through each of the leaves into the next and the next and the next. While this is happening, the flower of life appears like a living organism with movement, outgrowth, and continual connectedness. So I started to do this movement where the flower of life is now flat. It's a disc inside of my chakra area of heartfulness. And I say it in that way because I don't know if we actually know exactly where the heart is. But for now, see it as a disc, CD disc. It's inserted and it knows. There's intelligence and intention that it knows to connect with the heart vibration. And the flower of life, the leaves are coming out like this. And there's a continual movement. It's like it's going out, receiving from source, coming back in and nurturing source within, source within. And so I started to see this around each of the circles that are now on top of each other. Each of the concentric circles, each of those identified areas of concern, the flower of life is nurturing them. We're now adding movement and they're spiraling, spiraling, spiraling. So it's like if you can imagine, there is it's almost like we're on a cloud. It's just very, or in water. It's fluid, it's flowing, all right? And energetically, this felt significant because, again, we are working with the subtle energies of movement, vibration, and sound. We are now acknowledging the subtle realities are incredibly significant, have always been a part of our divine essence, have always been a part of the bioorganic vessel. So it's kind of like loosening up. We're loosening up the fabric of our physicality. We're loosening up the density that is imagined about our physicality. So that now with lightening up, adding movement, we're looking for now, we are now experiencing our connectedness to the quantum field, which is the platform in which I'm having this conversation. So as I'm intentioning and acknowledging the significance of these subtle realms, I am beginning to open up the potential crystal rainbow bridges to connect with my families of benevolence. So we are now in expansion, and we are now, we're acknowledging the dimensional realities. Okay. Again, a reminder, I am offering visuals and resonance of an earthling. These aren't necessarily what they work with nor identify with. So, like a dolphin, I am generating telepathic, picturesque symbols to communicate the essence of my message. Another request I made was to enthuse the multidimensional understanding of humans so they may attune to these resonant ways of communicating with each other and with our families of benevolence. Let the people recognize their response ability and their sovereign power in becoming communicators of assistance and planning for the planet. Following a request like this, I would visualize what I just described above with the flower of life. So I'm asking if they can energetically assist by enthusing that telepathic, picturesque essence of divine benevolence on the planet in the consciousness of humanity, so that they may be sparked, given an upliftment, which I hope you are experiencing with me now. They are given an upliftment and beginning to remember how to communicate with our families of benevolence through our telepathic, resonant, vibratory nature. Again, we are talking about the science of multiple dimensional realities. It's a subtle study, subtle energetic study. Okay. Other circles that I spoke to were that of the fields of study upon the planet, such as science, education, philosophy, religion, government, culture, etc. I again directed a council to form around each field of study. The intention was to cleanse it of all that is not of love and enthuse it with the integrity of source, uninterrupted. Now, many of you have seen that graphic that I created. And if you haven't, you can go to the Facebook page, Get Lit Show, and you will see it. And the way it's spelled is important. I believe that image could very well be on the screen. I had made that request, but if not, you can go to the Facebook page. Uninterrupted, UN-IN-terre, T-E-R-R-E. That's the mother, Earth, terre, hyphen, rupted, R-U-P-T-E-D. Source, infinite grace and beauty, oneness, source, the quantum field where everything is energized, all life comes from source. So imagine source is coming, and this is the visual I use. And of course, you can adapt it to however serves your intuitive ability. I envision there's a dark channel. I'm presently cultivating the embrace of darkness of which all life comes from. So there's a dark channel, almost like a cosmic sky, and it comes between the two halves of the brain. Goes down through me. You can even use your spinal cord. Just comes down me. It's the path of the torus, the toroidal path. Source uninterrupted, comes through me, comes back around. And as source uninterrupted comes through me, I hold the intention that my left and my right hemisphere, left and right side of my body, is absolutely enthused with vitality, rejuvenation, youthfulness, intelligence. I'm in perfect divine alignment. So I offer that to you. Source, uninterrupted. In my studies, I have been guided to elaborate on the topic of the science of multiple realities. This presentation is, in fact, the nature of this topic. It seems in our new changing day and age, we are finally acknowledging that the multiple dimensions of reality do, in fact, exist. Admittedly, we are new to this expansive understanding. For a long period of time, we held the mental concept of this probability. However, now it is becoming quite apparent. It is a truth within the collective consciousness that is seeking expression. Much is simply revealed by the enormous amount of data contained in what is called disclosure. And as a result, our planet and humanity is being prepared for the confirmed reality that other existences not only are for real, but there is a multitude of them. I believe that the mere presence of this conversation upon the planet is what prompted me in knowing I could even deliver the very content of this subject in this very here and now. The future has arrived in the present time, and personally, I am so very delighted. So what we're doing here is we are acknowledging that right now I am sharing a resonant message. I am sharing a resonant truth. And this truth is now in the presence of absolutely all the consciousness on the planet. May we all be empowered in knowing this, that although it wouldn't necessarily show up as a tangible result, and it may very well, in the subtle power of the essence of who we are, this message is traveling infinitely. The science of multiple dimension realities is an important theme within the readings of the Wingmakers. And I have the link here. In fact, when this show comes to completion, I will take this entire writing and I will put it at CCN. You click on Get Lit and then scroll to the bottom of the page and you'll see new page, more page. I can't remember what exactly that link says. And this entire article will be posted there so you can reread it, and you can also link to what I'm making reference to here right now, the Wingmakers. It's too big a URL to actually communicate verbally. But here's a quote from an excerpt, a quote from Wingmakers. All institutions of science, religion, education, government, and culture will be reformatted to embrace the science of multidimensional realities as the core knowledge upon which they are based. Governments will be obliged to restructure their political systems to allow for the integration of the new systems of knowledge, specifically to incorporate the widespread understanding of the multi-dimensional universe and the extended brotherhood of intelligent beings that live herein. Now, what does that mean? My sense is that this newly emerging field of study is what symbolizes what we call unity consciousness. It is a bridge of connectivity, always interacting with Source. This awareness upon the planet will revolutionize our relations with the Mother and each other. It is a renewal that I believe will remind us of who we are, our origins as Earthlings, and our experience with each other and all life on the planet. In a way, it will be the culmination of finally connecting all the dots with Source uninterrupted. Our healing comes first, then comes our reunion and reintroduction with our star families of benevolence. They are fully present now and have always been. Their communications are telepathic, picturesque, and resonant. Each one of us can dial them up. Let go of what you have been told and allow them to communicate directly with you. They'll tell you straight up who they are and what their intentions are. The families of benevolence are transparent. Our transparency is what opens up the channels to connect. Don't be afraid. Set your intention. Allow yourself to listen from within. Ask questions. Have conversations. Know the path of exchange is nurtured by a very important universal law and divine code, that of the tone of equality. Oneness prevails when Source is uninterrupted. Now, each one of you have plenty to say about what needs to be repaired upon this earth. I suggest you establish relations and declare your desires and intentions as powerfully as you are declaring sovereignty as a living being walking upon the earth right now. Basically, I encourage you to declare more expansively. Get bigger. Get louder. Say it like it is to those who are waiting for you to declare not only needing their help, but how can we help? Recognize the help is not just ships, technology, tools, etc., as much as the energetic resonance that you desire to live in while residing on planet Blue, our mother. Okay. That's the end of my article titled Interdimensional Outreach. So I'm going to elaborate a little bit here on we have a beautiful movement of making declarations right now. And the declarations reveal a lot of the influential thinking of along the lines of law, natural law. And we're in the preliminary stages of beginning to reinterpret actions and activities upon this planet combined with intention. We are beginning to open up many conversations about set your intention, set your intention, set your intention. All right, well, I, like many other humans, want to see things happen like prontianto. I want everything, and I want it now. And granted, linearity has its limitations, but multidimensionality does not. And so here we have the linear words, the linear words of declaration. But then we have the multiple dimensionality of intention. All right, here is a crystal rainbow bridge right here. And the cultivation of knowing our multidimensional selves, which is our spiritual beings. It's the I am presence, deepening, deepening, deepening that all the time. That's what is pumping source into these words. So that all of a sudden, if you could imagine, here's your declaration, right? And it's written in that linear format, but imagine this, you've seen generators, all the letters, imagine all the letters. Let's just use the word declaration, and I'm calling upon your imagination right now. Declaration is sitting in front of you, and the D starts rocking, right? And then the E starts bouncing, okay? And the C starts doing swirls, right? Imagine the letters are moving, and they're actually, they're expanding, right? Okay, so here's this visual. It's like a subliminal message here, okay? Here's declaration, and now it's got all kinds of movement, right? We can even give it sounds. Okay? Okay, so that's all dancing. Now go to the intention. In your heartfelt, deepest intuitive place, you know when you say your declaration that it is source uninterrupted. So here you've got your dancing words now, right? And here's your source uninterrupted. Do you see how vulnerable those letters become when you give them movement? They're vulnerable. They're not stagnant. They're not one-dimensional pointed. And they're no longer linear. Now, this is the best of an earthly interpretation. But on a subtle, when those letters start moving, there's breath added to the linear word. Okay, there's breath. And our interdimensional self, source, right, spirit and soul, is in the spaciousness too. So here, the connectivity is possible. And there's a resonance, a new resonance that's created from the union. The science of multiple dimension realities, I believe, is the exploration of this beautiful art. It's a dance art. It's a vocal art. Vocal, la, 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 la. It's a resonant art. It absolutely requires your imagination, breath, self-love. It gives you the confidence not to doubt yourself. Self-love, that you within yourself know you have the strength, you have the courage, you have the power to enthuse the energetic environment that surrounds you. The science of multiple dimension reality is identifying the energetic signatures that we all are, having a very genuine and authentic communion with that part of ourselves, and beginning to explore, using our imagination, beginning to explore the potency of intention of your energetic signature going in the fabric of reality. And you're not giving that reality a solution from the old paradigm thinking. You're not giving that reality a material solution. What you're giving that reality is the essence of your spiritual divine being. When we are dropped in this amazing multidimensional selves that we are resonating, okay? When we are loving who we are resonating. We're resonating beauty. We're resonating grace. We're resonating connectivity, okay? It's that energetic signature that we're intentioning into the fabric of reality. It's the energetic signature that you offer to these circles. And as a result, you are not using the old paradigm mental apparatus problem solving. You're not going into that situation, as I believe Einstein was the one who said, using the same tools that created the problem. Our strength, and we know this, follow the thread. Our strength is knowing we are spiritual, divine humans in an earthly suit. We already know. Our divinity is energetic. The soul suit has a specific purpose. It's a navigating ship, but it's temporary. And we know we're pretty much in agreement. The soul continues. The consciousness continues. That subtle energy is what we have been deterred from examining, embracing, empowering in ourselves. And because we have been gifted with this very unique and powerful design, I'll go back to what I had said earlier. All that's ever occurred outside of us, advanced technology, pyramids with their capstones, anything that's existed, it came from here first. So here's a theory, and I kind of get a chuckle out of this because in myself, I know this as truth. But here's my theory. The powers that were, and let's say they are, we call them draconians, all right? There are other races that are not of love, all right? They don't share the same universal resonance that earthlings are designed for. And so here they are, and they're trying to confiscate everything out there. Look at this scenario. I just love this scenario. First, we're divine. First, we are absolutely in love with our energetic signature. And because of the self-love, right? Internal creation happens. And the beautiful universe responds to our internal creation and then provides, right? We don't even have to describe what we need. It might be food, right? But when we're in the internal creation, in this beautiful, safe covenant of divinity, and there's an urge for food, food arrives. It reveals itself, okay? Technology. Somewhere within our origins, our divine selves, there was an impulse. There was, I'd like to go visit that planet. I'd like to go to the moon. And the next thing we know, the universe has provided the external creation that came from that impulse. We didn't have to sit there and go, oh, maybe I'll get this and get that and da. However, that process unfolds. But internal creation starts to prompt us towards those components, never leaving our energetic signature, never going to the job just with a mental cap on and figuring out how we're going to get to the moon. No. From the genuine understanding of internal creation. So here's my theory. If all is here, right? And now we're beginning to understand how not to give our power away, right? How not to feed the astrals. How not to let anything or anyone reap our harvest. All right, so now we're pretty good. We're shining. We're in gold armor. We are shining divine beings. And we're going, ha, got it. All right, and so we're just resourcing. All right, our beings over here, what they've been so desperate to have is this. And we know nothing is going to recreate soul. It's a divine, infinite gift. It's untouchable. We can identify it. And yes, we can put these mental apparatus in these humans and distract them. They don't have this. Or maybe, I don't know if I can say they don't have this, but if they had it, they wouldn't be so inclined to 1 hours, right? So these characters over here, they're kind of after the point. We're before it. And my theory is that let them have whatever they want out there. If we unite in here knowing how powerful we are guided on exactly what we need to do, how we need to do it. We do know there's families out there of benevolence. And when we open up telepathically, using our sensorial, multiple dimensional cells, we are now having communication with other benevolent beings that want to assist us. I believe we're in a telepathic resonant revolution. And just take a moment and to reflect upon this. When you go within yourself and you're listening, and very deeply, intuitively, you know what's in there is so great, right? And for good reasons, we haven't been able to put it out there. I mean, sometimes when you speak so totally from your truth, you're like, yeah, they're just, I'm not going to have any friends. I mean, I'm still taking a little bit of a risk sharing what I'm sharing here. But when you know so deeply in yourself, there's a whole world unfolding. And what I was going to say, when you know so deeply in yourself, can anyone touch that? No. Can anyone really take your dreams away, your visions, your intuitions? No. Can they even go in there and harvest it in a tangible way? Not happening. We've been gifted with divine covenants. We are the ark. We're all of it. We're the ark. We're the first language. And when we go internal, telepathic, nothing can touch us. And when we are intuitive and we are dropped in our spiritual divine beingness, the vibrations change. There is no box inside. So when our resonant frequency expands, as I know in this moment, you are experiencing with me, right? That's a bigness and a power and a divine gift that sets us free, that leads the way. And so when we talk about, wow, if we all just united, if everyone da-da-da-da-da, thing is you don't even have to step out of your house. You don't even have to open the computer. You can nurture that resonant frequency and start your own communications with each other and your benevolent families. Now, I know that we're in a time where we're sorting out. We've been given a lot of religious images, gods, angels, saints, on and on and on. We've even been given all these sacred geometrical symbols. And I know that we have to be discerning spiritually. And we've had plenty of conversations about the astral environments. We have to be discerning. But if you think about it and you listen to people who have really done some deep cleansing and deep healing on astral levels, in the end, what heals them is their ability in their inner world, their inner journey, to very forthrightly ask, are you of benevolence? And according to cross-cultural understandings in shamanic practices, if a guide or being does not say, yes, I am of benevolence or I am your guide, you immediately discard that entity from your presence. So each of us, I believe, has our own counsel. And that counsel may very well be all the accumulated aspects of our own higher self. That's how I kind of think about it. I look at the flower of life and I go, oh my gosh, if I've been living for infinity, I have a collection of life experiences and consciousness. The consciousness I have now is because of the life experiences that have accumulated, and I've put in my own record. I mean, take the whole package and make it yours. So I use the flower of life, and I often will intention all aspects of my higher self be here now. That may very well be our counsel. They can look however they want, but if they can't say yes, look you in the eyes maybe, say, yes, I am of benevolence and I am your higher self and la, 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 discard them. Then that's what we're doing now. If we back up a little bit and we go, I do not consent, that's what we're doing. We're identifying something that doesn't resonate with our higher self. It's not who we are. It doesn't represent me. So we go, I do not consent. You can even take that into your inner world. Take that on your inner journey. Something appears and it shows teeth. That's another cross-cultural understanding in shamanic journeying. If an animal or a being comes to you and they glare and show their teeth, I think it's a no-brainer here. That's not one of your guides. That's not one of your aspects. I do not consent. So we are dabbling at it in the external reality, but the internal reality is just alive and thriving. No one has to have access to it unless you want to share it. And it's expansive. When we move through the multiple dimensions, when we start to acknowledge it's a subtle reality. And you may be asking, well, how do I do this? Da, da, da. Well, it's that simple. You can use the simple flower of life and energetically see. Sometimes I think this was a Buddhist meditation practice. It might be in the Vipassana arts, where one of the meditations is you're in a sit and you start to visualize, you have a platter, a tray in front of you, and you start to visualize all the human anatomy. You start taking it off, putting your hair, your fingernails, right through everything, your teeth, your skin, until you've put your whole anatomy on the tray and you're sitting there. That visualization, anything that assists you in being able to use your imagination, evaporate your physical vessel, not because you're getting rid of it, but because you love it so much, you want to understand it to its fullest. Evaporate your physical apparatus until, like, I can see the couch through my shoulder, or I can actually see the room because my body's not there obstructing it. Explore letting go of the physical form, and then you are now sitting in the whole energetic field as best our imagination can offer to us right now of just energy, resonance. I guess that could be what truly means taking up resonance. Take up resonance with yourself. So I wanted to come back to the Wing Makers. It's an amazing body of work, and like anything else, you read it, you pick out what's true for you. Just because you might find a paragraph that's like totally opposed to your beliefs, who cares? You don't need that paragraph. But if there's 3 words in any kind of reading, just the way we've picked through the scriptures, if there's 3 words that resonate with you, that's your truth. That means it sparks something in you that you know there's some truth, okay? Like the many people that, we've read the scriptures, and of course right now everything's up for grabs. Did Yeshua exist or didn't Yeshua exist? It doesn't really matter. If reading about Yeshua sparked some deep understanding of love within you, it's not Yeshua that gave that to you. And it's certainly not the story and everything that was created around that story. It's the spark in you that's of value. Okay? And that's why today it's so important to really reserve judgment. Trust what you resonate towards. Trust that you're being guided, that you have affinities. And through that exploration, those affinities reveal themselves. And that's how we grow. But to come back to the Wingmakers, the point I wanted to make was they indicate that there is a movement towards the science of multiple dimension realities. And within that science, yes, we will prove there is a soul. Now, powers that were, it seems to me they already have proven that we have a soul, because that's what they're so dire to entrap. So apparently that knowledge and information is already there. So as science proves there is a soul, it's inevitable that that's going to lead to even more proof that we are multidimensional beings and that there is a multidimensional universe. This path is about infinite expansiveness. So that's kind of the theme that I'm cultivating in my being these days. And one of the things that I intend to do, I'm working on some videos to go more deeply into accessing resonant presence. And fortunately, CCN has launched an amazing component to the site called Effie Market. I encourage you to please go and visit. Not only can you download high definition copies of our shows on an individual basis, but if you pledge long term, you'll have access to all of the high definition programs that are being recorded through CCN. And Effie Market is going to offer there's another component there for vendors. And that will be the platform. Once I get enough of my sessions completed, I will be offering video sessions on this very topic. It is the science of multi-dimension realities. And I will be approaching my resonant understandings and continued communications with my families of benevolence. Also, a reminder that what I read here today, I will have, if you go to the Get Lit site on CCN, oh, I know, and you scroll all the way down on the left side, it says Our Page. You go there. I believe this is episode 9. I'd have to correct, just look for the date, May 21st. This article will be attached to that page. I will do that probably within the hour of bringing closure to this show. I'll also put it up on my Facebook, Get Lit, and Shama Dear Woman Facebook. And let's see, what else? Oh, we're continuing to offer, as you go to the pledge page, in the discount code box, if you put Get Lit, the $15 registration fee will be waived. And as you know, if you've enjoyed this session and you're enjoying the many programs on CCN, please go to effiemarket.com, ETHIMARKET.com, and go to the pledge page. Please remember, we're in a day and age, mainstream media, we already understand it's manipulated, it's bought off, it's scripted, not to assist the people, but to distract us. CCN is one of the most prominent antidotes and solutions to hearing real news, authentic communications. So I'm right now, after this entire topic of resonance, I am going to intention. The resonance of CCN is just brilliantly attracting and allowing affinities of those other souls and hearts that we call our family, that you are finding your way right now, and you understand the importance of contributing and helping this platform to sustain. There is no corporate funding. There is no government funding. This is a new paradigm. It's a new day. And we sure do need your resonance, cooperation, presence, monetary upliftment to keep us thriving and keep us bringing authentic events like this one to you. Well, I have to admit, when I was anticipating going solo today, not that I'm ever short of words, but I wondered if I would make it through this entire session. And it looks like I have. I hope I have kept your attention, and I can't encourage you enough to contact me. I am available. I am more than happy to work with you one-on-one, groups, however I may assist. There is no other reason for me being on this planet right now but for us, our family. And I know things can get rather complicated out there, but there is a whole crew of us here. There's no other reason for me right now but for us, our family. And I know things can get rather complicated. Okay, it sounds like I'm having a little bit of feedback on my speaker. I guess that's the Resonant family is saying, wrap it up, Blue Star. Absolutely, absolutely. Bring the caller in.
The caller is Tamara Jonasson.
Well,
Tamara Lynn is sitting here.
oh my gosh, I'm so grateful you called in. And to let the audience know, this is Tamara Jonasson, who co-hosted a couple of weeks ago. And this is our professional ballet technician and cosmic co-host. Go ahead, Tamara. What are you coming to share with us?
Well, I'm coming to ask a couple questions. As a community member that is gratefully participating in conscious consumerism, I am interested in pledging, and I want to know, as a person out here pledging, do we have time to pay that? Is that like, do you send us? I mean, how does that work?
Oh,
Is it via email, or how does that work?
okay, that's a good question. The first thing we do is we go to effiemarket.com.
Right.
And then at the top of the page, it has a button that says pledgers. And then there are options on that page. Now, I believe we have the one-time option when you buy just a high definition program. And then we have a 6-month and a year. And you click on it and then follow the links that will then ask you to put in your name and your card number and what have you. And then you will receive an email acknowledging your pledge has been received, and then you're given information on how you can access your data.
Okay, so when people pledge right now, they are required to pay 6 months or a year at this moment, or is there they do that at, how does that work?
Okay, and you know what? I have that same question. Biggie, I know you're tuned in. I don't know if you want to do it through chat or you'd like to join me in audio. I think that's the same question I have, Biggie. Like when you sign up
People need to understand that. Yeah, that
right.
helps them orientate and organize their life. Yeah.
Yes. And I think the clarity that we're looking for is if you sign up for a 1-year pledge, are you, do you get the option to make the payment each month? That's the question. So Biggie.
Or 3 at a time. Yeah.
Or 3 at a time, right? Do you have the option for making the payments? Biggie, just let me know. Okay, no, the payment would be a one. Okay, so then you're saying that you would actually make a one-time payment. Okay, so tomorrow.
Okay.
It is.
That's good information.
Yes. Let me see what else he has here. But they are flexible, so people would be able to contact them to discuss it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, see what works in people's budgets. Nice.
Yeah, I'm so glad you asked that because I hadn't followed through because I'm a broadcaster, but that was a very question I had too. And I know that I believe the 6 month, I might be quoting this incorrectly, but I think the 6 month is like $55, 55 euros, and the 1 year I think is 100 euros. So it's slightly more for American money.
Okay, but that's within range, so they might be able to work with somebody where they're saying, hey, I can do, $225. Are you okay with that? So that's good for the people to know that when you communicate with people. That helps.
Yeah.
It really does help these days.
That's, oh, awesome. I'm so grateful you brought that up. That's a really good.
Yay.
Yay.
Yay. And I look forward to sharing time with you on the show again.
Oh, absolutely. And to let our audience know that tomorrow we'll be returning, and actually there's several shows she'll be co-hosting with me. If you want, I believe our show was, what was that, April 30th? Is that when
April 28th.
Okay.
April 28th.
Okay, so the show that occurred around that date, you can go back and you can see how Tamara and I worked together on that show and the topics that we explored. We both come from professional dance backgrounds, and we use that kind of like a metaphor of consciousness. So I look forward to you coming back on the show, T.
Yay, yay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I just got the last glimpse. I finished my meeting, and it was wonderful. I appreciate all that you offer always.
Oh, thank you so much. And listen, here's something else for the audience to know. As soon as the show ends, it turns into, what do you call it, a DNR, where you can rewind. You can go to
Oh.
Yeah, and you can pull that player all the way back to the beginning of this show, and you can watch it.
That's nice. That's nice.
Yeah, it's a really nice feature. I'm sorry, I think it's
Excellent.
DNR. I'm not sure. Oh, and Biggie did. DVR. Thank you, Biggie. It's called the DVR.
Okay.
And he did say, yes, that's correct. 1 month is 10 euros, 6 months is 55 euros, and 1 year is 100 euros.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
All right. Well, hey, I love you, and thanks.
I'll talk to you soon. Love you too.
All right. Bye, sweetheart.
Bye.
Okay, beautiful ones. It looks like I've done a really good job with my time here, and I'm so grateful. I love you, Mel V and Biggie. You do such a phenomenal job, and I hope our audience recognizes the quality of delivery here, the immense amount of videos that are added. 24/7 CCN has something on it, something's running that you can watch that was pre-recorded. And of course, the shows, there's over, I think there's between 25 and 30 programs now. And if you witness several of these programs, you're going to see there's a unified force happening at CCN. There is an absolute unified force and a strength of truth-sayers, pioneers, way showers. If you're beginning to ask about your life right now on a personal, spiritual, psychic, mental, physical level, there is a program that is present that will answer to your needs. So please, I hope you can start to find the affinity of source uninterrupted here on this platform. I also want to just make a quick reference to what's happening with the International Tribunal of Natural Justice. There is an amazing momentum and movement. Rebecca Cope, Dr. Chrissy, Sacha Stone, and many, many other brilliant people involved in creating a judiciary system that is not corrupt, that is about freedom, is about law, is about justice. If you have gone down any of those rabbit holes and have had the frustrations of losing a home or of having a terrible medical crisis that was never answered with justice, please look up ITNJ, follow it. It's a very, very important voice. It represents all the people on this planet. So I think that's my messages for today. I am so grateful. I love all of you, and may we continue to be source uninterrupted. Blessings.